All right, welcome to the flow class. If you're following along with the playlist, it's called Flow Yoga Poranguí Mix, and we're gonna go ahead and press play on that right now.
I'm just gonna try to
Just make sure that you're not shuffling the playlist. That's what I always accidentally do, is shuffle it. Just make sure that it's playing from start to finish. And to start us off today, I wanted to read a poem that I wrote a while ago. And it's kind of about the playlist that we're listening to today and how kind of drums and beats and rhythms can be really lovely. So the poem is called Internal Rhythm. I think I wrote it about, must be easily 3 or 4 years ago now, maybe longer. And so we were moved, seeing all around us. Journey with us, they pleaded. And so we left our boat docked to foot. So we left our boat docked, setting foot to sand and soil, drawn deeper by that distant call. One that possessed our feet to move rhythmically. And so we were moved, feeling all around us. Dance with us, they encouraged. And so we left the shore, moving inwards, setting foot to beat and drum, driven deeper by the internal rhythm, one that called forth our willingness to move artistically. And so we were moved, joining all together. We held hands, blending, moving around the fire with vigor, the stars above pulling at our attention, slowing our pace. We synchronized with softness, floating foot from soil to sky, from sky to stars. And so we were moved. So I invite you to let your body be moved today by the practice of yoga. If there's a time where your movement brings you to stillness, awesome. That will naturally happen within the rhythm and the pacing of our class today. We'll move from kind of a crescendo up the mountainside to the challenging, more intense peaks of the practice. And then we'll take a journey back down into our calmness. And you can kind of think about this as like a dance that's building up from slow to mid pace to faster and more energetic, and then slowing down and stretching out. So I encourage you to come into a tabletop position from wherever you are right now. So if you're laying down or if you're in a seated position, join me on the hands and the knees. That's where we'll start moving the body with our breathing. And our breathing will create a rhythm that allows us to go internal with our experience. So you're down on hands and knees. And once you're there on the hands and knees, we're going to just move through a few rounds of cat-cow and then a few rounds of spinal movements that aren't cat-cow, just natural and normal explorations of the spine. So take an inhale and look forwards in front of you, whatever's there, and you should feel kind of the heart and stomach open up and like a gentle compression in the low spine and back. The bum kind of points back behind you. All right, take one more breath in here. And exhale, press down the palms and lift your mid-upper spine up. Look down between the hands and maybe even tuck the chin even more so that you can look between the knees if that works for you. Let's try that again. Looking forwards, opening up the heart in front of you. And then on your exhale, you're rounding the spine. Opening up, chest goes forwards, heart opens. Exhale, rounding the spine back up towards the ceiling. I want you to try about 3 more rounds of cat-cow. Just realizing that I have to change my position of my microphone or else it's going to be no good. I think this should be a better place. All right. So after you finish those last few rounds of cat-cow, we're going to make our spine move more like a snake kind of like a slither. So we're going to walk our knees back just a little bit from where they are from tabletop. And then we're going to kind of allow like a serpentine movement to come into the spine. So let's bring our torso to the left first, our shoulders. And then we're going to let the hips move to the left and bring our shoulders to the right. And then the hips move to the right and the shoulders move to the left. And we're just going to allow a little movement into the knees if they need to lift or walk around. And you're just going to find a bit of that serpent-like movement with the spine, even if it feels weird, it's okay. Or unusual. And now let's just move into circular motions of the torso over the hands. So the shoulders moving in circles, forwards a bit, and then back a bit. And let's change the direction of our circles. We're just moving those circles opposite way around the circle. Okay, let's come back to the middle. Resting somewhere on the hands and knees. Now we're going to try to warm up through the core muscles a little bit. So we're going to step our right leg back. Feel the abdomen engage when we step back, like we're kind of climbing up or ready to spring into a race or something like that. Now let's keep the left palm on the floor. And we're going to open the right palm towards the ceiling, and we're going to turn the left shin kind of wherever it needs to go so that we don't lose our balance. It's usually kind of behind you. So the left shin turns. We're going to open up the palm towards the ceiling and just feel that kind of stretch in the spine, the chest. It's kind of around the spine, not in it, but you know what I mean. Now bring that palm back down to the floor. And it's not quite side plank, right? We're quite supported. So now we're going to bring both knees back to the ground. If you're confused, you can always take a peek at the screen. Left leg steps back. Then when we lift, the right shin swivels away from the yoga mat. The left foot meets the floor and the left arm reaches up. Press down with the right palm and notice your breathing, shifting a little bit here. And let's bring that palm back down to the ground, left palm down, and we're going to shift back onto the knees again. Nice job. Take one more breath in. And exhale, we're going to lift up to downward facing dog, curling the toes under, lift up through the pelvis and press both palms down into the floor, lengthen through the spine. Lift both heels, inhale. Exhale, bend both knees and walk to the top of the yoga mat. Hands to shins. Inhale, lengthen and lift the spine forwards with your breath. And then exhale, fold your spine down with that breath out. Let's do that same movement again, just halfway lifting the spine. So your hands slide up the shin bones, lengthen and lift the spine forwards, and exhale, round the spine back down to the legs. Awesome. Reach the arms up, breathe in. Hands to heart center, breathe out. And pause there. Just noticing the rootedness of the feet, hands pressing still at the heart center. I want you to kind of keep that anchored sensation down to the ground. And then keep that, as that anchoring kind of persists, the crown of the head is rising up and you're feeling that you're kind of going in both directions, down and up. Noticing the rhythm of the music if you're listening to it. On your next breath in, spreading open the arms, reaching up above you. Exhale, dive down to your feet in a forward fold. Halfway lift, hands to shins, lengthen and lift the spine forwards. Exhale, put the palms down on the floor and step your feet back to high plank position. High plank is like the top of a push-up. Take a full breath in high plank. And then exhale, lower both knees down, lower the chest and belly down as well. Lift your heart a little off the ground, baby cobra. Exhale, lower the heart back down. Use your handed knees to push back to tabletop position and then back up to downward facing dog. So you're still rooted through the hands, hips lifting up, body kind of resembles this kind of pyramid-esque shape. Hips at the highest point, I like to bend my knees a little bit, and that helps. Lift your heels again, breathe in. Exhale, bend both knees and walk up to the top of the mat near your hands. Take a halfway lift, lengthen the spine forwards, and then exhale, fold the spine back to your feet. Inhale, swoop the arms up, stand up tall, palms meet. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reach up again, look up. And on this exhalation, you're going to dive down to the floor, all the way, hinging at the hips, bending the knees a bit. Hands to shins, lengthen and lift the spine. Inhale. Exhale, flow, palms to the ground, step back to plank. Plank is high push-up. Take a full breath in plank. And then exhale, lower your body down, chaturanga, low plank, knees, chest, belly. Baby Cobra or up dog, full extension of arms for up dog. And then downward facing dog, lift your hips back up. All right, come down to the knees and just take a bit of rest in tabletop. Just want to quickly go over the difference between Baby Cobra and up dog so we're all on the same page. It will take not but 30 seconds. So for Baby Cobra, we're on the stomach. We're lifting the heart up like this, and the palms are pressing down a little bit to support the spine, but they're not the dominant force. The dominant force of lifting is the spinal muscles. Up dog, the palms get more involved. We press down and we lift up. The thighs are lifted off the floor. They're hovering. The bum is squeezing together and the feet are pressing down quite firmly. So those are quite drastic differences from each other, right? One's right on the ground, the other one's quite lifted. You can choose either one for the rest of class. Okay, let's go back to downward dog. So palms in front, toes curl under, lift up the hips. Nice job. Lift your, let's go right leg up, breathe in. Exhale, draw the right knee to the nose and step it through near the hands. Reach upwards with both of your arms so that you're in Crescent Lunge, shoulders over hips. Pivot the left heel to the floor and reach the arms apart to Warrior Two. So you're looking over the right fingertips and lunging the knee over the ankle. Let's start to add that pace and rhythm to our flow. So moving with breathing, right arm up, left arm back. And then windmill down, hands to the floor. Frame your right foot, step it back to plank. Take a breath in. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, Baby Cobra or upward facing dog, you choose. Exhale, lower the heart if you chose Baby Cobra, push back to tabletop, and then go to downward facing dog. If you chose up dog, to get back to down dog, you kind of roll over the toes. And we'll kind of go over that in just a little bit as well. So let's try on the opposite side. Kick your left leg up, breathe in. Exhale, draw your knee to your nose. Step through with the left foot. Rise up with your arms and fingertips above the shoulders. And then pivot your back heel to the floor and spread the arms apart, reach them away from center. You can feel maybe a stretch across the front of the body, the chest, because you're reaching with the fingers. That's not the case for all of us. I usually feel the stretch in the chest after days of doing work in the upper body. So push-ups and work that involves the pectoral muscles and the core. I'll feel a little bit more stretch when I reach the arms apart. Let's go to Dancing Warrior. So left arm goes up, right arm goes onto the back thigh. You reach up as high as you want to produce a stretch on the left-hand side of the rib cage, abdomen area. Take one more breath in and then windmill both hands down to the ground. Step back to plank. Take a breath in. Exhale, lower down chaturanga or knees, chest, belly. Lift the heart, Baby Cobra or up dog, squeeze the tush, and then go back to downward facing dog. Lift your hips back up. Keep the palms pressing down. Nice work. Let's just do a standard flow. Inhale forwards to high plank. Exhale, low plank. Inhale, up dog, flip over the fronts of the feet, one at a time. Lift up the heart, and then exhale, flip back to the toes. Downward dog. All right, let's come back to tabletop. Knees down to the ground. We're gonna work through a little bit more core stuff. So let's bring our elbows to the floor. Hold the hands together, step the feet back, and still have the knees on the floor. We're doing dolphin plank, knees grounded. Take a breath in. And a breath out, press your palms or your elbows down rather. Bracing with the core. So you're using your awareness of the abdomen muscles to stay stable. And we're going to make this harder in a moment, but we're going to take a brief rest first. Let's just keep pressing down with those elbows for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, walk your knees in a little bit, come off the elbows, and just sit up for a moment. Let's just talk briefly about where you should be feeling fatigue in that position. We want to feel it around the shoulder and then underneath the shoulder blade towards kind of how I describe it is like the back armpit. It's like armpit towards the back of the body. This is where a little muscle called serratus anterior lives. And it's going to be feeling fired up if you're doing this position correctly. We're allowing the shoulder blades to wrap around the front of the body. That's serratus anterior's function. And it's going to kind of stabilize and wrap up the upper body with the scapula and shoulder blades. Let's try it again. So coming down into elbows. So the difference, if you are confused at all, just take a peek. This is unengaged serratus, dipping the shoulder blades are crunched together. And then more engaged serratus is pressing elbows down and spacing out between the shoulder blades. So I'll do that one more time for your for learning's sake. Here's not engaged serratus. Here's engaged serratus, pressing down. Okay, so now let's take the knees off the ground, lift the toes off lift it onto just the elbows and the toes. And you're gonna really want to squeeze your bum. Distribute that weight back, squeeze the core, and press elbows down again. Take a breath in. And out. Again, in. And out. Last one in. And out, lower the knees. Put your palms back down, lift up onto the knees again to a seated position. One more thing we're going to talk about before we move on from this position is how the forearms work with where the flesh is in the forearms, like where the skin is and the muscles. When you put your forearms down, you might be able to feel the ability to shift where your elbows and forearms are and where if the bones are in contact with the floor or if it's muscle underneath the bone. And so I'll show you what I mean. Just take a peek at the video for a second. So if I'm rolled out like this, it's very subtle, elbows rolling out. It doesn't feel that great. When I am more aware and I hug slightly in with the elbows so they're not rolling, now I'm more on the correct position of my forearms, more kind of like on the muscle slash bone, not rolling that muscle away. And I feel more core engagement. Like when I roll out, it disengages serratus, disengages core. When I hug in, re-engages serratus, re-engages pectoral muscles, which help the serratus muscles function here a little bit. So we're pushing down with those elbows. Let's go back to dolphin plank one more time. You can totally feel it. I can totally feel it way more when I hug in. 3, 2, and 1. Knees down. That's enough. Lift yourself back up and give those shoulders a little bit of a break. Whew. It's tiring, isn't it? Let's go back to downward facing dog and we'll change the target for a little bit, okay? So lift the hips back up. Nice job. Let's walk to the top of the mat. No rush. Hands to shins when you're there. Lengthen and lift the spine with your inhalation. And exhale, fold down. Reach up with your arms, breathe in. Interlace your hands above your head and step your feet together. We'll be in this position nice and tall. And we're going to side bend up and over to our left, crescent moon. And then come back up and side bend to your right. You guessed it. It's pretty simple, this one. And let's keep going side to side. But sometimes simple is sweet, especially when we can slow down and kind of pay attention to the rhythm that shows us where we want to go. So not moving too quick and enjoying that stretch when it comes, when you feel it on those side abdomen muscles. Just kind of explore that for a second for that exhale, and come back to the center and create a little bit of a rhythm going side to side. I'm just going once more from the left and then to the right. And then we're going to come back up to the center. Feet are stepped right together. And then we're going to go ahead and squat the hips and bum down and back. And we're creating a thunderbolt shape in a body. It's the zigzag shape. I'll show you in the side perspective. So we can see this thunderbolt shape, or part of it, a little zigzag in the body. Hips are down and back. Squeeze your inner thigh muscles together. And then press the heels apart. Thighs in, heels out. Reach up, sit back a little deeper. Nice job. For 5, 4, 3. We're going to dive down in 2 and 1. We're going to straighten the legs a little more and then hinge more at the hips, fingers to the floor. Nice work. Let's bring our feet apart. About hip width. Grab the big toes with the peace fingers. Lengthen the spine forwards. Breathe in. Exhale, pull down on the toes, stretch the hamstrings. That's the backs of the upper legs. Inhale, lift again. And exhale, fold again. So the hamstrings aren't just one simple little area. We have multiple bands of hamstring that go different areas, connect to different points. One of those bands of hamstring muscles goes below where your knee is, so closer to the lower leg. So we might feel a stretch that actually goes right behind the knee towards that, the upper portion of the lower leg bones, of the tibia and fibia. And let's release the toes. Bend the knees a little bit more. Heel toe your feet further apart and squat the bum down and back so that your bum is now kind of between the heels and the knees are apart. We're like a little frog, ready to go in a little hop. All right, we're going to take the knees and squeeze them in, press the palms together, and then elevate and lift the spine and the heart just a little bit so you can feel the space being created in the groin. So if you crunch, if you kind of hunch the chest, maybe you don't feel the stretch in the groin as much. And then if you try lifting the heart, feel the stretch in the groin come. It's really interesting. So the way that we hold our entire body will change how we feel the stretch in the entire body, right? So it makes sense if we're hunching and slouching, or if we're aware and there's a little bit of care. Option here to move to crow pose. So the palms turn forwards, they go down on the floor. The knees stay where they are in the triceps, or the knees go to the back of the armpit like this. Then we lift up the bum, we walk the toes to touch, and we start to float the toes off the floor. And you might do it, you might not. Today it's feeling okay for me. So for 5, 4, 3, squeeze the toes together. 2, look forwards a bit. 1, step or float back to chaturanga. I'm going to step back because I'm babying my toes. Then lower down. Up dog comes next. Lift the heart. Lift and squeeze the butt. Downward facing dog, hips up. Nice work. Kick the right leg up. Breathe in. Exhale, knee to nose. Step through. Reach up with both arms. Crescent lunge. Pivot the back foot to the floor. Reach the arms apart. Lunge. Knee over ankle. Let's go up to that dancing warrior. Right arm up, left arm back. Straighten your front leg. Reach forwards. Plant your right palm on your shin and reach the left arm up. Take the left hand down to your hip. Bend your right knee over the ankle and then spring so you're balanced on that right foot. It might take you once or twice to get there like it did for me today. I'm using the wall as a cheat with my toe. And then just do your best to find that stable position on your feet, on your foot. And then you could spread the arms open if you want to. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's come back to warrior 2. Plant the back toe and heel and lunge. And then we'll flow. Dancing warrior, right arm up, left arm back, and then flow. Hands to the floor. Step back to plank. Lower down to chaturanga. Lift to up dog. Go to down dog. Lift the left leg. Breathe in. Exhale, knee to nose. Step through. Reach up with both arms. Crescent lunge. Exhale, pivot back, warrior 2. Right heel is rooted back behind you. Arms are reaching apart. Let's go to that dancing warrior. Left arm up, right arm back. Straighten the left leg. You can do this. We're almost towards our restful point in class. Left palm forwards on shin. Right arm up in air. And take a moment to press down and reach up. Sometimes to get to the resting point, you have to go through the challenges. It's like when you go on a big hike, it feels that same way. The rest is at the top of the mountain. Gotta climb up. Let's bring the right hand to the hip. Left knee bends over the ankle. Then spring forwards onto that left leg. I like to shorten my stance by bringing my back foot in and then springing forwards. It makes it less of a dramatic transition. And then finding that lift through the back leg. You should feel the outer right bum muscle doing the primary work of lifting the leg and the core muscles at the same time, keeping the torso from slouching. Then spread the arms open if you want to. And hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's come back to warrior 2. Awesome job. Keep the arms reaching apart and look forwards. We'll go to dancing warrior, left arm up, right arm back, and then flow. Exhale, windmill both of your hands down to frame your front foot. Step it back. You're in high plank. Take a breath in. Chaturanga, grip the floor, pull yourself towards it. Lift the heart up dog, baby cobra. Downward facing dog comes next. Lift the hips up and come down to the knees. All right, let's take just a moment's rest. I just want to explain an instruction that I just gave. Hopefully I can give you a little bit more clarity. I said, pull yourself towards the floor. This has been a game changer for how I do chaturanga. Instead of just dropping to the floor, now what I try to do is imagine like there's 2 kind of handles in front of me, and I'm actually pulling myself with my arms to get to the ground. Now, I know that's not actually what's happening, but the muscular engagement, the awareness of the pectoral muscles, eccentrically letting the body in, down to chaturanga, is such a great thing. So we're gonna give that a shot. Let's come into high plank. And then I want you to grip the floor, like fingertips grip, thumbs grip, and the palms might dome just very minusculely, like very small. A minuscule amount. I don't know if minusculely is a word. It sounds like some sort of pasta. Would you like a plate of minusculi? It's very small pasta. Let's take a breath in and pull yourself towards the floor. Grip and pull down. Lift the heart. Go back to down dog. All right, let's go back down to the knees. Just talk about that for one more second. Forearm muscles, right? You feel all those forearm muscles engaging, helping you come down to chaturanga. All right, to grab a sip of water, I need it. And then we're gonna go back to down dog and just do a few more sequences before we come to lay on our ground, our yoga mat. So down dog, hips up. Walk to the top of the mat, no rush. Eventually come up to standing in your own way. And once we're up to standing, we're gonna lift the left knee up in front of the hip. So left knee floats, grab the knee with the palm, reach the right arm to your right side, And then open the left knee to the left side slightly. We should feel a stretch kind of across the groin area and across the chest too, because we're spreading open, reaching those hands. So we might feel that stretch kind of primarily though in the groin and thigh, inner thigh. Now let's draw back to center, inhale. Exhale, kick the left leg back, toppling tree. Left leg goes back, arms reach back. Hinge forwards at the hips, fingertips to the ground, standing splits. Left leg kicks up to the sky. 5, 4, 3, lifting heel, 2, lifting leg, 1, and step your feet together. Left foot swings down next to the right foot. Hands to shins, inhale, lengthen and lift the spine. Exhale, palms down. Step the right leg back, left foot at the top of the mat for low lunge. Option to lift the arms up and leave the knee down. So going up here and opening up the hips a bit more. One more breath in. Breath out, hands bow down to the foot. Then we're going to put the palms down and step back to plank. Take a breath in. Chaturanga, grip the floor, pull yourself down. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Downward facing dog, hips up. And walk to the top of the mat. Slowly stand up in your own way. Lift the right knee up in front of the hip. Grab the knee with the palm and open the right knee to the right side. Left arm reaches out to the left. I gotta change my orientation so I have somewhere to reach, or else I'm just gonna punch the wall. Still thinking about minuscule. I don't know why this striking me is so funny today. I just, something about it. Let's come back to the center, inhale. Exhale, kick the right leg back, toppling tree. And the right leg's reaching back, arms reaching back as well. We're not spending a great deal of time here. We're just turning this into standing splits. So fingertips go down, right leg lifts up through the bum muscles action. For 3, kicking up through heel, 2, 1, and swing your right foot down next to the left. Hands to shins, inhale. Exhale, palms down, left leg back. Lower the left knee to the ground. Option, reach up. Feel that front left hip stretch and then into the low abdomen and stomach. Take a big belly breath. Let the belly come out on the inhale and in on the exhale. One more belly breath in. Hands down to the floor. Step back to plank. Take a breath. Pull yourself down, chaturanga. Baby Cobra or up dog, lifting the heart, anchoring the feet. Downward dog, hips back up. All right, from your down dog, we're gonna just work through a lowering down to the ground. I'll guide you there. Okay, so forwards to high plank. We're in the top of a push-up. I want you to press your heels back and the crown of the head forwards. And then take one more breath in and use your whole breath cycle to come down. All the way down through the low push-up until you're all the way on the floor. And then I want you just to fully rest your body, laying down on the stomach. You can turn your head to the side and your arms can be anywhere. Nice job sticking with the sequence. We did about 37 minutes today in the standing sequence. So yeah, really good job. That's tough. That's tough work. It's not always easy to go that long with the active postures. Sometimes in the flow classes, by the time we get to this point in class, we're only about 25 minutes in. So we've done sometimes about 5 or 10 minutes more work in this class. So this is really great. That challenging kind of chance to move through some of those things like chaturanga, to challenge the body brooding down and still staying aware of the breathing. Give yourself a pat in the back. We're gonna now let the body move through a few spinal strengthening positions that basically challenge the posterior muscle chain in kind of increasing ways as we progress. So we'll start by kind of targeting the low back, and then that engagement will creep up the spine. So we're going to start with Baby Cobra. We've done it a number of times in class today already. So the palms are underneath the shoulders, legs are extended along the mat, and you're going to lift the heart up and away from the ground. You should feel the muscles just above the bum and the bum engaging. The glute muscles are amazing muscles at waking up muscles around them. So if you're squeezing the bum, we can get engagement into the thighs, we can get engagement into the back, all around. So I want you to keep that breath flowing, and on exhales, contracting the glutes, contracting the core. All right, now we're going to lift a little bit higher, and you're going to start to kind of peel the hands off the floor and the legs off the floor, swing the arms back behind you, and your body's kind of floating on essentially the hips and stomach and thighs. And you're lifting the lower legs, and you're lifting the chest up a little bit, arms still reaching back behind you. And then we're going to go into a slightly more challenging back bend yet. You're going to kick your heels back to your bum, reach your hands back and grab onto the outside edges of your feet. And then you're going to kick back once you've got that position and allow the front of the chest to kind of broaden open into the throat, into the bottom of the chin. And you might even look up at the ceiling if you can. It's kind of like double dancer's pose. Take a breath in and exhale, float your whole body back down to the ground. And we'll do one more back bend that we've done a number of times as well. It's upward dog. So the palms go under the shoulders, and you're going to push down into the chest, into the palms, and lift your chest. It's kind of like this curve, like if you know what an exponential curve looks like on a graph, it's kind of like that. It starts shallow, and then it rises and goes really up high. Unfortunately, kind of like climate change has been, so then you're going to let yourself come back to downward facing dog, lift the hips back up and push down with the palms, and then lower both knees to the floor and walk them up to the top of your yoga mat for Reclining Hero. So you're going to walk up on those knees until they're apart at the top of the mat, like so. Touch the toes together, lean back onto your fingers or elbows, or all the way down into your back. Now you could have the feet in a different position, like you could have the toes curled under, if that is what's going to work better for your feet today. It's a very different sensation, and it goes more into the soles of the feet instead of the fronts of the shins and ankles, but you can still feel a little bit in the quadriceps. Now, for some people's toes, they probably won't like this position, but also for some people's ankles, they might not like the alternate position. So we're all very different. And I can do both. So today I'm just trying the one that's a little bit different. And we can even turn this into quite an active variation on Reclining Hero. It's almost kind of like camel. So the palms are planted down, and then we're engaging through the glute muscles, and we're getting more stretch into the quadriceps. This can be done in both variations with the toes. I like it better in actually the classic Reclining Hero foot position, and then engaging with the glutes, lifting up the hips and getting that stretch that you may have been lacking for a while. It's common. We might not feel a stretch in a certain area until we get active and do something different. All right, let's slowly walk our hands towards our feet and come all the way back up. And you're going to stand on your knees next. And once you're up on those knees, toes can curl under again. And it's kind of like we're mimicking hands on the bum. And we're getting active into the glutes and now using our full intention to create camel as much as we can. So we're engaging the back body between the shoulders and then breathing and slowly arcing the spine back. So it's like the heart lifts up. And then if you had like a big boulder behind you and you could lay back onto that sphere, onto that spherical surface, that's kind of the shape of the spine that we're creating roughly. We're getting that arc back in the spine and opening up in the front chain of muscles of the body. We're just going to take one more breath in. You can do it. It's a bit of a challenging posture for some of us. The heart rate will increase. Let's come back up and take a rest. Just sit the bum down on top of the heels. And then we're going to go into pigeon from here. So let's plant the palms down and step the feet back. Lift up through the hips, up into the air. Actually, we're not going to do pigeon yet. I lied. I was a little ahead of myself. We're going to lower both knees to the ground, sweep the legs to the left or right, sit down on the bum and bring the legs forwards. A little ahead of myself. Grab the undersides of those hamstrings and then dig down with those heels. And we're going to be intentional about the chest, upper body, and shoulders. And so as we do this Navasana or boat pose. So we're going to lean back a little bit, but then I'm going to try to get you to draw your elbows in, lift the heart up, and keep the length in the low spine. Try to engage the abdomen in the stomach area. And then if you want to, you could lift your feet off the floor. You don't have to. You could stay rooted and anchored, which is beneficial for hamstring strength. Anchor those heels down. Become interested in the upper body and the ability to keep it long. Take another breath in. Option after this exhale now to lift those feet off the floor if you want to go there today. And once you've got those feet lifted, you're going to kind of kick them forwards a little bit and straighten the legs if it works, but not if it starts to feel bad in the spine anywhere, especially the low spine. That's where I feel a lot of pressure in this posture when I'm not engaged enough in the core. And then let's lower those heels down. Nice job. All right, let's lay down on our backs. So scooch the bum forwards, make sure you have enough space. Lay down, head on the floor. And then we're gonna go into a spinal twist. We're gonna lift the knees up so they're hovering in the air. And then we're gonna let our knees kind of just drape over to our right side. All right, so knees floating as a unit, as a package over to the right. And the calf muscles and feet rest on top of each other. Or the thighs can cross. I know some people prefer that method. I don't. And then you can open up the arms if you'd like to, as a final expression of the chest and upper body. Lastly, look to the left side if you wish. Take 2 more breaths. Really showing up for your own length of breath in this last breath in and out. And let's first just kind of bring the head back to face the ceiling. This will take the upper spine out of the twist. We're also going to bring the left arm and rest it on the rib cage. After that, we're going to bring our knees back to the center and our torso will kind of come with it. So just come back to the middle. And we're going to switch sides of the twist. So just make sure that you have space. Lift your knees up in the air And then take the knees over to the left-hand side. So the knees are stacking on top of each other, the feet stacking on top of each other. Oh, I'm so thankful for the baseboard heater that's on right now. My feet are kind of bumped up against it. Bonus. And if you want to, you can spread the arms open and look over to your right-hand side if that's accessible to you. It's nice if you pay attention to the exhales. You can sometimes feel your body subtly creeping deeper into the twist, or relaxing deeper into the twist when you exhale. And maybe 2 more breaths or so in this side of your spinal twist. Breathing in the twist is so important because it helps open and move the abdomen. Kind of putting a little bit of pressure against those muscles that are currently in stretch, and then different shapes and positions that we have in the core. Let's lift our gaze back to the ceiling, and our shoulder comes more over top. The right shoulder's kind of slightly up in the air now. And we're going to lift our knees and our body right back to the center, so we're laying on our back. I'm going to miss that baseboard heater. Let's bring our hips and torso back to the center of our yoga mat. And I'm going to give the option to do thread the needle instead of pigeon if you want. So cross the right ankle over your left thigh and then grab behind the left hamstring with the hands. If you want to go into pigeon pose, you can go ahead and do that. And I'll quickly demonstrate what pigeon is. So for pigeon pose, you're going to have the right knee at the top of the mat near the hand, left leg back. And then you're going to swivel that shin, the right shin, underneath the pelvis and let the left leg relax. And we should feel the stretch in the right side bum muscle in either of these 2 different shapes. And then if you're in pigeon, maybe come down into the elbows. Maybe try to let go of some tension from the back of your neck. This might be possible if you let your head hang. And if it's not possible, you might need to put some block or bolster underneath of the head. That's actually kind of the case for me, like just hanging my head. It feels okay, but if I have something under it, like even just stacked fists in this case, it's a bit better. All right, let's just take one more breath. Don't spend super long time in pigeon in our flow class. We're going to come back up onto the hands. Use the hands, push down, lift up the chest, and then go back to tabletop or down dog if you want to go to down dog. Optional flow at this point if you're craving a little bit of movement now. So lift the hips up into the air and inhale forwards to high plank. Exhale, low plank or knees, chest, belly. Baby Cobra or upward dog. Lift your heart, anchor your pelvis, tops of the feet press down, and then come back to tabletop or downward dog. And we're going to go into the opposite side of thread the needle or pigeon. So the left knee walks behind left wrist, left shin swivels underneath the pelvis, and the right leg relaxes down. It's kind of like the right front of the right groin is above the sole of the left foot or so. Then we're going to relax the right leg and come down into the elbows. or choose your variation of thread the needle if you're in that. Return your attention to your breathing. Maybe even close your eyes. One less of your senses to occupy the brain. Feel your breathing. Try to be one with your breathing by consciously willing the breath in and out, or observing the breath in and out with your awareness. Take one more breath in and out like that, focusing your attention. And then eventually you're going to replace your elbows with your palms if you're in pigeon, and then go back to downward facing dog. If you're in thread the needle, let's all just eventually meet on our bum. So that's where I'm going to go. Just bring your knees to the ground from your down dog, sit onto the bum. The legs are going to go straight forwards. All right, we're going to try a pose called staff pose today. We haven't done it in a while. The palms go just behind you, and the fingertips point back behind you. And you're going to press down into the palms and lift the spine so it feels tall. At the same time, your legs are extended out long, and you're going to flex the ankles towards your face. And we're going to feel a little bit of a stretch in the hamstrings. And some people are able to kind of tilt their spine forwards slightly. So we push the palms down, and then we hinge slightly at the hips to increase the sensation for the hamstring stretch. You can even walk your hands a little closer to the bum and then encourage that stretch a little bit more if it's something that feels nice for you. And let your chest come back up and relax staff pose. Let's hug the right leg in and then turn it to the floor. So the sole of the foot is now planted on the inside edge of the left thigh. You're going to reach down to the big toe with the peace fingers, or just grab the ankle and then reach up with your right arm and side bend your spine over the left foot and leg. We're feeling the side stretch, abdomen, up to the armpit. Take one more breath in, anchor the outer right thigh to the floor. So pressing the outer right thigh down, and then come back up and change the position. Opposite leg, right leg extends, left foot anchors to the inside of the thigh. And then the side of the thigh that's touching the floor, the left leg, we're going to anchor down by using the outer glute muscle. Reach to the big toe or ankle, or even the pinky edge of the foot with the right hand. And then reach up with the left arm and side bend your spine over top of your extended leg. Nice job. Keep holding there and breathing. You can look up a little bit and feel how the neck changes in sensation. And let's let go, coming back up, lifting up, and placing our soles of the feet together for our last posture before Shavasana. I'm going to do Cobbler's pose. So the feet touch, the knees open apart, and then we can just lean forwards over top of the groin, and we should feel a groin stretch onset into that area. If we don't, that's okay. Give it some time. Realize that you need to cut your toenails. And lift your spine up, and we'll have two choices, meditation or Shavasana today. So you can choose either or. I'm going to go to a meditation position. You can feel free to lay down right on your back if that is what works good for you. I'm just going to sit on my bum with the knees down and the shins down on the floor. So the reason I use a bolster for meditation is, or for just seated position in general, is because it allows the pelvis to have a slight forward tilt. It's tilting to the anterior part of the body, the front of the body. So we're getting that tilt in the pelvis, and that allows the shins and knees to kind of maintain an anchored feeling on the ground. You know, if we don't have the hips on the bolster, often our cross-legged position looks something like this, like our knees are quite lifted and there's a lot of tightness in the hip flexors, but getting those hips up and that pelvis tilted gives us a lot of opportunity to relax into the meditation position or just seated position in this style. We're going to rest the hands on the legs or palms open facing the ceiling if you're in Shavasana. In this last posture here, give yourself an opportunity to ask any questions that are coming up. And to just ponder on the answers that might be there for you. Whether it's something, emotional from your life, or whether it's something from this practice from today, from your body, that it's kind of calling out for attention. I'll read that poem one more time. The poem's called Internal Rhythm. And so we were moved, seeing all around us. Journey with us, they pleaded. And so we left our boat, docked, setting foot to sand and soil. Drawn deeper by that distant call, one that possessed our feet to move rhythmically. And so we were moved, feeling all around us. Dance with us, they encouraged. And so we left the shore, moving inwards, setting foot to beat and drum, driven deeper by our internal rhythm, one that has called forth our willingness to move artistically. And so we were moved, joining all together. We held hands, blending, moving around the fire with vigor. The stars above pulling at our attention, slowing our pace. We synchronized with softness, floating foot from soil to sky, from stars. And so we were moved. Thank you so much for tuning into class today. It's always a pleasure to be with you and to be welcomed into your space on a little screen. Thanks for being part of my morning, being part of my day today. It always brings me some joy and some warmth to see you signing in and to see your face. Thanks again. See you soon. And we got a day off tomorrow, and then we'll be back at it for a Sunday class with live music. So see you soon.